All right, it's that time. We are looking at your Dynasty football trades.
That's right.
Now, if you've made a trade this week, go ahead and comment it down below because everyone gives each other, a little bit of feedback at times. Drop a like just to show your boys some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty football content because we're pumping it out. And if you want your trades to be on this weekly video, it's actually quite simple. All you need to do is use our code LAND when signing up to flockfantasy.com. That will give you 30% off your membership. And if you choose a Mother Flocker tier, you'll unlock the Dynasty Trade Show each week. So we'll be looking at your trades this time next week. Okay, so the first one we're looking at today is from Crime Lord. Context is a 10-team Superflex. Just seemed too good to pass up. Receivers are now Waddle, London, Pickens, Burks, and Jameson. So it looks like he gets George Pickens, sends away Elijah Moore, and a 24-second.
Oh, boy.
I'm a fan of this personally.
Okay.
When I look between Pickens and Elijah Moore, I think Pickens has the higher ceiling, and I'd be willing to send a second. I remember we talked about this in the hotline. That second, I believe, is going to be a late second. So to me, I'd be willing to pay a late second and Elijah Moore to upgrade what I believe is an upgrade to George Pickens. I know you're like the Elijah Moore
believer,
head of the gang,
he's my dad,
leading the
according to
train.
Twitter.
So maybe you might not do this one, but
yeah, I'm easily going Elijah Moore here. I have Elijah Moore significantly higher in my rankings, higher than the normal community. I think if you were to look at the community's rankings, no doubt George Pickens will be higher. And I think, I am not with consensus with the community, which is fine. But even then, getting that extra second, I think the biggest question is, do we believe in George Pickens? We believe in George Pickens as a talent, but I also believe in Elijah Moore as a talent and believe what he can do. And they're still really only a year apart in age. George Pickens, if I'm not mistaken, 22, Elijah Moore, 23. Yeah. So it's not that massive of a difference here.
So I guess it would come down to where do you have them in your rankings. For me, George Pickens is my wide receiver 28. Elijah Moore is actually my wide receiver 38. So there's a 10 gap difference between those two players. To me, I would be willing to pay a late second to do that sort of tier upgrade.
Yep.
But what about you?
I actually, funny enough, you say I actually have Elijah Moore 28 and I have George Pickens 30. So
okay.
And so that's what I'm saying. I am significantly higher than consensus with Elijah Moore, which I kind of said it already as a hot take in one of our other videos. But yes, I am taking Elijah Moore in the second every single day.
Okay. Big breakfast. And why don't you guys let us know what you think in the comments below? Because maybe there'll be a lot of people on different sides with that one.
Maybe.
Big breakfast, 10-team Superflex PPR start 11. The 2024 first is basically a lock for top 3.
Yeah.
With a very good chance of being 101. Starters are now Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Bijan, Connor, Justin Jefferson, Lamb, Watson, Goddard, Ayuk, Cooks, and Quentin Johnson / Flowers. Who do we think did the best and worst in this deal? So this is a 3-way.
It is a 3-way.
So let's go team by team. So Big Breakfast himself got CeeDee Lamb and Zay Flowers. And he sent away Olave, Addison, and a second. I'm in love with Olave. I've talked about this so many times. I think Addison's a great pick, but I would be super comfortable in only having to send a second to go from Olave to Lamb and then to, downgrade slightly from Addison to Zay. So for me, for breakfast's side of this deal, I would definitely pay this price to get CeeDee Lamb on the team.
I completely agree. Well, top 3, top 4 wide receiver in Dynasty right now. Yes, Jordan Addison probably has the better overall opportunity in year 1, but I think a lot of people are extremely undervaluing Zay Flowers here. And Chris Olave, we both like. So, yeah, the prices for CeeDee here is phenomenal.
So let's find out who got screwed, if anyone did. Lucas, it was the second team here. He got Olave, Dalton Kincaid. It doesn't look to be a tight end premium. Otherwise, I think Breakfast would have said that. The 24 first is a lock for top 3. So that's
which
big.
One, though? Because there's
the one that's here.
Oh, yeah.
The only 24 first is the one that was sent from the bottom team and to the middle team.
Sure. I can see that now.
So that's guaranteed to be top 3 is what they're saying. So you sent away Anthony Richardson, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers. Ooh, those Anthony Richardson and CeeDee Lamb, those are some cornerstone assets right now. If you got back Olave, Kincaid, the 2 seconds don't do much for me. Even though, in a deal of this magnitude, the seconds are important, but they shouldn't be moving a needle. and then a top 3 pick. So essentially, that's probably Drake May.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, who? It depends on the quarterback that is.
Yeah.
Like if it's Drake May, are we excited about that? If it's, I think we are. We know
At the
and
moment,
we are.
yes. Who
Yeah.
knows what it looks like though in a year from now?
100%. And I think like that's the only way we can really tell who wins this trade. If what happens a year from now, I would say the 24 first, because it is linked to that the same owner. I'm okay with that because that means you have an early first. I'm assuming the way it works in your drafts, an early first and an early second. So you have the 103 and the 203, which means you can still get pretty good value in
Yep, that's fair.
In players there. And this is a 10-man league actually. So this is that's the 112. So he got the 103 and the 112 technically.
Sure.
No, he got the 201. Sorry.
In a 10-man league though, I don't know that I like sending CeeDee Lamb away. Like in a 10-man, I think I want to get as many elite players as I can. Although you did get Olave. Olave is definitely in my tier 2. Oh, that's a tough one, dude. Like I don't think that team 2 got screwed over, but I think they took a massive risk. That's what I'll say. Right. They did take a massive risk. And then the bottom team got Anthony Richardson, Jordan Addison. They sent away their top 3, Kincaid, and a second. So this feels like a relatively even trade all the way around. I think everyone's taking a certain amount of risk except for Big Breakfast. It feels like Lucas and DeReal Sicklord, these 2 guys at the bottom, are both taking on a massive amount of risk. And we don't know exactly how it's going to pan out for either one. But I think we can both say for sure that the team at the top won that trade.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm really interested to see what that looks like in a year from now.
Yeah,
so exciting.
All right, Styles, 12-team Superflex, PPR, non-tight end premium, 4 points for a passing touchdown, start 10. Just acquired my first share of Mahomes. Wasn't planning on competing this year. I had 524 first prior to this trade, now down to 2. Hard to project where the first I sent might be since a lot of the teams look like they can compete. So I'm thinking they could be mid to late. Lineup now consists of Bryce, Goff, Chase, Burks, Flowers, Javonte, Pirine. Okay. So we get Patrick Mahomes. We send away
first
Jameson Williams and 3 first-round picks. And in a Superflex league, as much as I love Jameson Williams, like I don't think Mahomes should go for this price personally. So I would take the Mahomes side.
This is also like you have Bryce Young and Jared Goff. Are you going to try and sell Bryce for like one of those first back, like another first? Or like, are you going to try and sell Jared Goff for first? Because if you look at the lineup, it consists of Bryce, Goff, now Patrick Mahomes. You have 3 quarterbacks here, which is not a big deal.
I would feel comfortable keeping those 3 heading into the year.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like, I guess where I'm trying to allude to is like, maybe in the year, hypothetically, Jared Goff's popping off. Bryce Young is going to be your future quarterback with Patrick Mahomes. Sell Goff high and get maybe some more capital back into that 24 class. And look how you just flipped and got, you still have 2. Maybe you can have 3, or maybe you can have an extra first and a second hypothetically. So I do like this trade. It's a hard price to pay for Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if I am going to be. I'll be completely honest. I don't know if I'm jumping immediately to this to get Patrick Mahomes if I know I have a chance to try and get a Caleb Williams or a May. Now I know Patrick Mahomes is already proven.
The context that he left, though,
That's
he said all these teams can compete from the first-round picks that he sent away.
Okay. That is true. That's big. So maybe these are all second half picks, which if he does work out and those 2 other picks become let's say 2 top 6, you really won there.
I mean, I'll just say I have Mahomes in some leagues. I wouldn't sell him for this. Yeah. I would need more. And I love Jameson Williams. Goat Rings back on the stream. Love it.
Come on, baby.
Team Superflex start 11. I own Pitts and now Andrews. First is projected mid to late. Eli Moore was wide receiver 8 on his roster. Okay, so a mid to late first in Elijah Moore or Mark Andrews. Doesn't say tight end premium.
It doesn't say tight end
but
premium.
I have done things like this in my dynasty leagues, where I went on teams that I have Kyle Pitts, and I want to compete this year. Instead of just like relying on it to happen this year for him, I have gotten a Waller, I've gotten an Andrews, I've gotten a Kelsey, and then whenever Kyle Pitts does step into his own right, I have another trade piece and I can start Kyle Pitts with confidence. So I kind of like the move, to be honest. I'm not as high on Elijah Moore. So if that truly is a late first, I think you got a steal here.
Yeah, if it truly is a late first, I think it is a steal. I think if it's an early first, it's interesting depending on what that tight end looks like. I'll be honest with you, this will be a really difficult trade. If this trade came to my inbox and I'm struggling to be like, dang, I can get Mark Andrews right now. As much as I love Elijah Moore, that really sets your foundation on your team, and you kind of set and forget as a tight end, especially him with Lamar Jackson. So this is a difficult trade. I honestly wouldn't know what to do if that was sent to me right now, to be completely honest with you. It would really depend, like you said, where that 24 first is. If that is a guaranteed top 6 first, I'm taking this trade. Understanding that maybe I have more tight end depth. Say that again.
You're taking the Elijah side?
Yeah, like for example, let's say I had David Njoku and I know this 24 first is a top 6. I'm happy to take that chance, genuinely. Right. Or if I had a Greg Dulcich, if I had somebody along those lines, maybe an Evan Ingram, sure. I'm happy to risk it to really see if that can be a top 6 pick, and then I can get a Marvin Harrison or one of these quarterbacks or another running back in 2023. So it's difficult. It's really difficult for me because of how much I love Elijah Moore.
He says that it's projected mid to late. So
I would definitely
take the Andrew side in that. But if it's top 6, then you could definitely make a case for the Elijah Moore on the first side.
Yeah.
Styles. Okay, same league. I traded Bijan, roast me, but in all seriousness, it felt like this was enough to pull the trigger. Okay, so he gets Chris Olave and Ken Walker as well as a second, sends away Bijan Robinson in a 4th. What do you think?
Ooh, this one's interesting because of Kenneth Walker. Mm-hmm. Bijan, what was Bijan going for in general? Like before,
what, 3 firsts?
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say.
Jamar Chase going for? It's a similar price.
And this is not the similar price, right? Yeah. I mean, Chris Olave, Kenneth Walker.
I don't know, dude. I mean, Chris Olave is worth 2 firsts. You're not sending Chris Olave away for 1 first. But and Kenneth Walker, you're not sending away for less than a first.
Sure.
So that's 3 first round.
So maybe that is 3 first, but I'd rather go. Not saying Chris Olave is not a heavy hitter. I'm saying I'm going for a top 10 guy. I'm going for.
Olave is top 10 for me in Dynasty.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe I need to go even higher. Maybe I'm trying to go for a CD. Maybe I'm trying to go for a AJ Brown. Maybe I'm trying to go for one of those guys in that tier, like maybe the top 5. But once again, I think that's a bit too much. Let me just double check here.
Here's what I'll say. Like, to me, when I look at this trade, everyone out there says they believe in Ken Walker and that I'm crazy for putting him lower in my rankings. This is when I think it comes to, the money meets your mouth. Mm-hmm. If you don't think this is a good trade, then I don't think you like Kenneth Walker. Like, not just you, Badaki, but everyone out there because I've felt some heat for saying Kenneth Walker should be ranked lower than most people have him, because I think Charbonnet is a very good back and will have, eventually eaten to 45, 50% of the workload. And I'm not saying from day one, but to everyone out there who has been saying, no way, look at what Kenneth Walker did year 1. Look at how good he is. We know he's a fantastic. And if you can't pull the trigger on this one, you never believed that about Ken Walker in the first place.
I think it'll be difficult. I think it's difficult because we just don't know what that looks like. For example, just to play devil's advocate, I believe in Kenneth Walker. I just don't know what that outcome is going to look like. If my belief in Kenneth Walker, there's no doubt in my mind he can handle and be this guy, which we already seen is an 80% workload top guy, and he's coming in and dropping down to 40. I don't want to risk that, knowing that Bijan Robinson, in my eyes, is generational talent, best guy since Saquon.
But you also haven't seen Bijan Robinson, so your argument's kind of working against you there.
And I think you're right, and we haven't seen what Zach Charbonnet has done either, and I think we just know that workload is not going to be the same. We think Kenneth Walker is talented enough and has already proven that workload. We just think that it's going to not be taken. At least, once again,
that's what I'm saying, though. I feel like this is where the rubber meets the road for people who like Ken Walker.
I think if I'm going to go with somebody and sending Bijan, I'm trying to get somebody else. I would rather have a Travis Etienne, a Ramondre Stevenson, a Josh Jacobs.
You'd rather have Stevenson over Walker?
No, I'm just saying in general. In general, I'm just throwing out names. It's not who's over.
Well, tell me the names that
I have. Here, right? I still have Kenneth Walker over Ramondre Stevenson. So people I have over Kenneth Walker right now: Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, I think those are the two, right? Those are the two hypothetically, because I think if we go any higher, we'll go way too much. So
Sure.
Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs. If I can get one of those guys here in this deal, I feel like that feels a little bit more comfortable. Travis Etienne is worth a first. Josh Jacobs is worth a first if we're going in that route.
Is Ken Walker not?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I feel more comfortable knowing the situation with Etienne and Josh Jacobs over Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, look, so I've been like the Walker skeptical person on the channel, and to me, I would do this deal myself. Maybe that's a reflection of how I feel about Chris Olave versus how you feel. I'm not sure. Chris Olave for me in my dynasty rankings is my wide receiver 7. So I feel very comfortable with this deal. I've projected Olave to have an incredible year. I think he finishes top 12 this year. Derek Carr has been fantastic for his number 1 option in fantasy throughout the past. I mean, there's almost like a decade of knowledge of, I guess, backing is probably the better way to say it. Yeah. Since 2016, he's been very, very good for the number 1 option in a fantasy perspective, receiving wise. And maybe this shows a difference in our belief in Olave. But
I don't
as
have
much
Olave.
as I love Bijan Robinson, you're getting the a fourth to a second is significant. But Ken Walker and Chris Olave, I mean, if you have Ken Walker ranked in your top 12, he's my RB11 in Dynasty. If you have him in your top 12 and Olave's in your top 10, I feel like at the end of the day, this is worth it, especially in a start 11. Oh, start 9. Sorry, start 9. I don't know. I would do this deal myself, and I'm not someone who is the biggest Ken Walker believer. I think if people don't, I'm just saying this to everyone out there in the community. If you wouldn't do this deal, you need to seriously reconsider your belief in Ken Walker. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think for me, the way I'm seeing this is that I like Chris Olave. I have Chris Olave top 10 like you do. I think if I'm going to get a question mark in what that future is going to look like in Kenneth Walker, I want not saying Chris Olave is not guaranteed workload. I want a little bit more comfortability. So, and this is minuscule. I'm thinking of a Amon-Ra, which is 1 spot ahead of Chris Olave. I'm thinking of a Garrett Wilson, which is a couple spots ahead of a Amon-Ra. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not anti this trade. I'm thinking of, I want more security in the wide receiver spot than what I'm getting with Chris Olave. I'm not saying he doesn't bring security. I just want like the heavy hitter. That's all that is. And Chris Olave,
we might disagree on who Chris Olave is.
Chris Olave to me is just outside of that heavy hitter. Like, I think of my heavy hitters as my top six guys, and I once again, I think if I go into the top guys, like you're not going to go for Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a CeeDee Lamb. I'm thinking of Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, a Waddle, an Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I guess that's how I view it for me. I'm not saying I wouldn't do this trade. I'm saying I just want a little bit more security in the running back position, which I don't think we're getting here. I just don't think we're getting that in this Kenneth Walker trade.
So where do you have Ken Walker ranked? I'll just say Chris Olave for me is ranked ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah,
for me, there might be a difference in belief between Olave then. I think Olave, I mean, I've said this before, but if you look at on a per game basis, you can make a case that he was better than Garrett Wilson last year, but a lot of people don't want to hear that. Where do you have Ken Walker ranked?
I have Kenneth Walker as my RB11.
Okay.
So once again,
I guess agree to disagree. I'm not sure. Yeah. Like, let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Maybe it's me that is not really wanting it. Once again, like, there's no security with Kenneth Walker. It doesn't feel that way knowing that Zach Charbonnet is there. We know that he's talented, but like, I'm not gonna get we are hoping for the workload, but the chances of the workload being taken away is significantly high, and I don't want that giving away Bijan Robinson, who is the 101 this year. I think that is my difference. I love Kenneth Walker. I have my top 12. Like he is the guy for me. I just think there's still a lot of risk there for sure, without a doubt.
All right, I can respect it. All right, next trade is from Han the Man. 12 team start 10 Dynasty Superflex. I have Deshaun, Kyler, and Sam Howell. So he gets Garrett Wilson and 2 second-round picks, sends away Chris Godwin and Tua. So he now has Deshaun, Kyler, and Sam Howell. I like this deal. I
Yeah.
like getting Garrett Wilson if you have, an overload of quarterbacks on your team.
Agreed. Completely agree. I like this trade.
All right. Goat Rings is back.
Here we
12
go.
team 2 quarterback full PPR. The first is projected mid. And then he's just told us his entire roster. He says, now I have 524 first and 424 seconds. So he gets Kyler Murray, a first, which is projected mid, and James Cook. Sends away Trey Lance, Chris Olave, and Kendre Miller. The way I view this trade is I don't think anyone can really say they have confidence in Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Niners know what to do with Trey Lance. I honestly don't. Excuse me. So the way I'm looking at this is I would, in a startup, I would take Kyler Murray over Chris Olave in a super flex startup.
Okay.
I would do that myself. So that's how I'm looking at it. Then the first, which should be mid, I would take that mid first over a Trey Lance, and as much as I love Kendre, over a Kendre Miller.
Yeah.
Now I do prefer Kendre over James Cook, but of course you have to make some sort of compromises in a trade. So as much as I love Chris Olave, his receivers are now, Justin Jefferson, Lamb, Chase, Garrett Wilson, London. I mean, yeah. So he could have he could make this move.
100%.
This is a great example of buying Kyler Murray low, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. You hit the nail on the head there. No doubt about it. I'm taking the Kyler Murray side. I mean, for me, I'm higher with James Cook than Kendre, so I'm easily taking this here, especially with that 24 first.
Yeah.
This is an easy trade, without a doubt.
All right, Brock, one quarterback, half PPR, still own picks of 101 and 106. Burks becomes a wide receiver 3 behind Lamb and Amon-Ra. So he gets Traylon in the 305, sends away Herbert in the 111.
Perfect.
I mean, as the resident Traylon Burks truther, honestly, I think in the world of anyone who covers Dynasty football, I think I'm the biggest on Traylon throughout the past 10 months. This is beautiful. This is an art piece. What you need to do, honestly, Brock, is you need to print this out, put it in a frame, and put it in your room somewhere because you're going to really enjoy looking at that trade for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, look, I'm really happy with this trade. I'm happy to take a chance on it. I'm not as high on Treylon Burks, but I'm happy to do this here over the 111. This is 23 draft. You're getting a Charbonnet. You're getting a Will Levis. Hopefully Dalton Kincaid's already off the board. So I'm happy with this trade.
Okay, and the last one, I think that's from Kev. Yep. 12-team, half PPR, Dynasty Superflex. This would leave me with JT, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, and Brian Robinson. Wide receivers would be JJ Olave, Christian Watson, DJ Moore, and Zay Flowers. Hate losing the youth of Brees, but Jones could help me win this year. So, yeah, I saw this go down. It's not actually half PPR, though, because I know what league this is in. So this is full PPR. Let's keep that in mind. Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson sends away Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Pacheco. So we aim to be as honest as possible on this channel. As much as I love Justin Jefferson, I think the downgrade from Brees to Aaron Jones is going to hurt you really, really quickly. It might not be instantly this year, but as soon as next year, that could really hurt you. While Brees Hall retains his top 3 status and Garrett Wilson probably retains his top 5 status. So to me, I would prefer the Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson side of this deal, even though I don't really have any sort of vested interest in Pacheco.
Yeah, look, I would say this. If you don't win this year, you lost on this trade. If you win this year, then the trade paid off. I would agree with Zach. I'd rather have Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. Pacheco means nothing to me. If you think about it, obviously Justin Jefferson, Dynasty wide receiver 1, but Garrett Wilson is still within that top 5, top 6, depending on who you're talking to. And Brees Hall is still, even with a torn ACL, a top 3 running back in Dynasty. So you go from a top 5 wide receiver, top 6 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, top 2, top 3 Dynasty running back to Aaron Jones. Justin Jefferson, phenomenal, without a doubt. But still, it's hard. You have to win. If you don't win it all, you lost this trade, without a doubt. I mean, I think you lost the trade regardless, in my eyes. It sounds really harsh, but it's true. Like, if you don't win here, then you gave away your 2 future assets.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit easier if like Aaron Jones was like a Ramondre or something.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if he was somebody like a Tony Pollard, maybe a J.K. Dobbins, a Miles Sanders. What about Alexander Madison? You know, like
Yeah,
somebody
that's
along
tough.
those lines that still is a little bit younger, still has some more question marks to them. But if they do perform well, you know that there's going to be some longevity for them. But Aaron Jones is like, once his contract's up, it's kind of like goodbye. You know,
Yeah. It's tough, and he feels like someone who could like if he isn't the same exact Aaron Jones, he could be someone that they cut because we know very clearly running backs once they start declining in any sort of fashion, teams are very quick to kind of move on from them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and we've seen that be true even this year. So yeah. That's it for today, guys. Let us know what you think about these trades in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear people's thoughts on the Bijan trade and the first trade that we saw today with George Pickens and Elijah Moore. Let us know in the comments. Drop a like, and we'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.